No, I do think it's a huge fundamental shift, and it's something I actually started first writing about back in 2003, which is the fact that governments shouldn't necessarily feel like they want to bring everyone to their websites and create all of their material. They want to go where people already are, and they want to do whatever they can to put their data out there and their information to allow people to mash it up and be entrepreneurial about it. Now, that actually gets to our third major benefit that we see to doing this, and that's essentially creating more responsive government, and that's by actually having government officials and others go out to where people are located, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Flickr, a lot of different things, and engage in conversations, engage in the flow of knowledge, and become more responsive by doing so. Now, that's a very, very different kind of model, because that's saying we're not going to just kind of try to protect our brand in a certain way and just have this kind of walled fortress. We're going to actually go out there and engage in conversations. Now, many government officials today aren't allowed to even go on Facebook or Twitter while they're working in public offices. So that to me is probably the biggest cultural change of any of the things that we've been talking about today.
Well, and that's a very interesting trend that's emerged, and really it's been a bit reactionary in the sense that when online movements started to occur in terms of governments wanting to respond to citizen protests through social media, it became pretty evident how quickly those movements could operate and the kind of impact that they could have on elected officials. And I think after that trend of seeing how pervasive citizen response can be, it started to turn and evolve into governments thinking more proactively about how do we get engaged in this social communities, and particularly what can we learn about our services on a more proactive basis. So now we're seeing a trend towards governments being more proactive in looking at what's being said on the web, and how do we use that in a way which can help with respect to our service offering. And so whereas it's been much more reactionary in terms of citizens coming onto websites or into service locations, there's now an opportunity for governments to reach out through social media connections and understand what citizens want with respect to service. We've seen that trend in other sectors, particularly if you look at telecoms or related sectors. You'll see where there's a much more use of social media networks for businesses to understand what their customers want. And governments are starting to follow that trend.